This is going to be a high-level overview of the sound design for the truck engines that we did for Project T. We sourced a bunch of different trucks down in Georgia, and after auditioning some of them in person, we landed on two different trucks that we really liked the sound of and felt like embodied the characteristics that we wanted to portray in the Project T game. We brought a bunch of different mics with us, and after auditioning those as well, we landed on a set that we really liked, and we mic'd both the engine block in the front of the truck as well as the exhaust in the rear. The design goal for this was to have a truck that would sound different as it was more damaged in the game, so it would respond to a damage value that would drive this system ultimately in Wwise, our audio middleware. So to accomplish that, we did a couple of physical modifications to the truck. We started out with a healthy vehicle as is. We also recorded the truck with the headers separated underneath in the exhaust. And then we also pulled spark plugs out of the engine block to kind of get that raw banging piston sound. We used Rev for our tool, our kind of authoring tool to create the engine synthesizer. That authoring tool likes three main sources at once: an idle, an acceleration, and a deceleration. We also recorded the trucks just on flat ground in park, just kind of the engine spinning freely, as well as we taking the trucks to a shop and putting them on a dyno to get a little bit more engine load, to kind of simulate what it would sound like a little bit more realistically if it was driving down a road. So I'm going to play a couple of selects here from the Reaper session, and there may be some dropouts. That's just due to the way I'm recording it right now, so please ignore those if they happen. The first one I'm going to play is the engine perspective. This is a GMC Sierra from the 1980s, and this is the idle. Then we have an acceleration. And a deceleration. And those were all engine perspectives. And then, excuse me. And then I'm going to go down here, and this would be kind of the middle health example for the no headers. And then one more, this is without the spark plugs for the critical health. So after lining up all the mic perspectives here, picking the takes that we wanted to use, and doing just some slight EQ and a little bit of limiting because we wanted the trucks to kind of retain that original authentic sound without a lot of processing, we exported these out and I brought them into the Rev authoring tool, which looks like this. And from there, I tagged harmonics, which is part of the process for creating the engine models. This process takes a little bit of trial and error to get right, to find a really clean section of the sound. But But after doing the process a few times, and you kind of nail it down, it's quite easy to replicate this across many recordings, and you pick up kind of the process quickly. I'm going to audition the ramp here, and this is the healthy version and acceleration. There's going to be a little bit of artifacting and popping. That's just something that's kind of a byproduct of this program, and it's not going to be present in the final recording. So that's what the acceleration ramp would sound like as it's kind of picking and choosing grains to feed the granular synthesizer with. There are a lot of settings here to choose from to change cycle window, smoothness, and crossfade. And then after you get all these tagged, you export a partial file, and you end up with basically a list that looks like this. So it's a bunch of wave files and the dot partials that would then be put together to create an engine model. So we created a couple different ones because we wanted to crossfade between them. And then this is the tab that you would build the model from. And then you would audition it in the simulator in Rev, kind of, feeding it a brake, acceleration, kind of simulating the buttons or the triggers that you would pull on a game controller. And then after you get this all dialed in how you like it, you import it into your audio middleware, in our case, or a game engine, which then plays it back, and it would be responding in real time to player input. So we did, in addition to recording the exhaust and the engine block, the kind of rear and front perspectives, we also broke it down a little bit further and had different positioning treatments for being a driver, being outside of the vehicle, and then being a passenger. And this was necessary to do because the way that these pan, the stereo information, and also kind of the fall off attenuation over distance all needed to be a little bit different for how we were playing it back in the game. So I'm going to focus here on the front end driver perspective and show here that we are crossfading in this blend container between the three different takes that we did, the different treatments that we physically changed in the truck. So you can see here down at the bottom, we have the truck health value from 0 to 1, 1 being fully healthy. And if I play it back and kind of scrub through here, you'll hear the different treatments. These also had a little bit of parameter modulation as well. So we have an LFO that's acting on the voice pitch, and then throttle, speed. All of these would affect kind of the volume and the different filtering that was going on to create more immersion. So within each of these sound instances, we have a version of or a copy of Rev running, and that's being fed throttle, RPM, and gear from the game engine. So if I open that up, you can see here we kind of have all the different curves going on here, and it should be mentioned that this truck was a kind of a slow vehicle in the game. I think it topped out around 35, 40 miles an hour. So we really focused on making it sound interesting at low speeds. And I'll just scrub through here so you can hear a little bit of the differences as it responds to each of these values. And some of them you kind of heard there are less responsive because kind of everything needs to happen at the same time in the game engine while it's playing back and and the game's being played. This is what Rev looks like when it's running in your middleware or your game engine. It still has a bunch of different parameters that you can change, like the duration of the upshifts and downshifts. If you have a clutch, if you kind of want some vibrato or tremolo modulation happening, and then some additional settings here for filtering and different load volumes, basically, if you're like on or off the gas. So I'm going to bump over here and just play some of the exhaust, because in Reaper I was playing it all together, summed, and I'll just play a different perspective here so you can hear the difference. And so we had these positioned on different emitters in the front or the rear of the truck. So as you were kind of panning around it with the camera or walking around it on foot, you would kind of hear a different audio treatment, based on that, which really added to the immersion. So that's basically it. This was kind of a quick high-level overview of the different sounds that we got from original source recording to getting it into the game. I hope you enjoyed this, and there will probably be a more in-depth video coming soon.